Warren, I'm Frank Martin from Elkhart, Indiana. You have written extensively on the subject of the immutability of return on equity for American industry as a whole, being stuck in the 12 to 13% range. What forces do you see, since we're above the mean, to cause that number to regress to the mean over time?
Yeah, it's true. It has been higher in the last few years, although Fortune's got some interesting figures in the current issue on the 500 that shows decade by decade what the return has been on the Fortune 500 group, which is a shifting group, of course. And it's tended to stick, although I would say it was more between 12 and 13 than 11 and 12 probably in that one. The return, to some extent, in certain businesses has gotten a big kick because they finally put the health liabilities on the balance sheet and therefore reduced equity. So if you anything you do that tends to pull down equity, if it doesn't change your ability to do the same sales volume, it's leveraged American business in effect by putting the health liabilities on the balance sheet. It may be wrong. It may be that business can earn 15% or so, but I think competitive factors tend to, over time, keep pushing that number down somewhat. And 12 or 13, when you think about it, is not bad at all. I mean, it's a level with 7% interest rates that allows stocks and equity to be worth much more when employed in equity than elsewhere in the world. But if I had to pick a figure for the next 10 years, I would pick some figure between 12 and 13, but that doesn't mean I'd be right on it. Charlie?
Yeah, I think all of those published averages overstate what's earned anyway. They're the biggest companies. They're the winners. They're the ones whose stock sells at high multiples so they can issue it to other people for high earning assets. And many of the low return people are constantly being dropped out of the figures. Now, you can say that was true in the past too, but it would be remarkable to me if on average American business earned 13% on capital after taxes.
Those figures, incidentally, isn't a huge item, but it's not totally insignificant. They don't show as a cost, for example, the cost of stock options, and the American shareholders paid that. So the American shareholder has not gotten the returns on equity shown by those numbers, although it's not a huge factor. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was, 2 or 3/10% just for that one cost that's omitted. If you let me omit my costs, I can show a very high return on equity. Zone 4.
记得点赞关注哦。